You want me to introduce myself?
Yes,
Okay.
let me start. I am Adalberto Cervantes Rodriguez. We are right now in the program with Nancy Owens. Okay, she's well known in the internet media, and we're going to talk with her, trying to know details about what she says in the media. Thank you for being with us, Nancy.
Hey, okay. My name is Nancy Owens. I was born in Tucson, Arizona, raised in Clewiston, Florida. Pablo Escobar of the Medellin cartel also lived in Clewiston, Florida. He did not live in Colombia. He certainly had contacts in Colombia and had land and built his empire in through Colombia and other areas. But he lived in my hometown of Clewiston. So Pablo's mother was a teacher at my elementary school. My first introduction to Pablo, his niece Sissy Escobar was going to the same elementary school as I was, and we used to tease her on the way to school. She had really, she had really long hair, and we were a little on the mean side, and we would put bubble gum in her hair. So, you know,
Do you know Nancy if he was an American citizen or Colombian citizen?
he certainly spoke very good English, and this was in 1972 that he lived in America. So I don't know what his origins were. They certainly, I don't believe for a second that they were Colombian. He might have been Puerto Rican. He might have been Cuban. And the reason I say that is because he had really soft hair, and I've met a lot of people from Colombia, Nicaragua, and all that, and so it was the texture of his hair was more along the lines of being Puerto Rican, or Cuban.
Is he a Jew? Was he a Jew? Do you know?
A Jew?
Yeah, a Jew.
I doubt it. I don't
Uh,
think so.
okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
No.
something about Nancy is than you have family relationship with Obama, isn't it?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He is my half brother. My connection with Pablo. That was the first time I came in contact with Pablo. When certain events unfolded, I was molested by Pablo because I was constantly teasing his niece, and I went into it. See, I had been very good friends with Popeye Delgado. Now, you know Popeye is the one who was accused of killing Mexican President Galan. He didn't do it. Okay, and my understanding he's free now because he didn't do it. So I lived next door to the Delgados, and my mother was very good friends with the Delgados. So this is how Obama came in contact with the what became later became known as the Medellin cartel, was through the Delgado family. So the first time I met Obama, his name's Alan. His middle name is Alan. His last name is Owens. The first time I met him, Ida was giving a pinata birthday party for Alan. So this is the first time I was introduced to him. This is the first time I even knew I had another brother. So he's an older brother. He's only older than me by 6 months. His birthday is, if his birth certificate, it's a fake. The birth certificate says the 5th. I believe he's actually born on the 4th, or vice versa. He might have been born on. We went to Hawaii, but that's getting off track a little bit. So the first time I met him was at
Nancy, you
Popeye's
talk,
house.
Nancy, you talking about piñata. Is there any relation with Mexico at that time? I mean,
Ida
yeah,
Delgado
because
is.
it's really interesting because piñata involves Mexican culture and all that. What happened? I mean, you
No, I know it's Mexican, but Ida Delgado was Cuban. She was one of the first Cubans there have been waves of Cubans that have been coming to South Florida since the 1970s. Ida Delgado and I think possibly Escobar and his mother, Martinez, and these were all part of the first wave. Now, the first wave of Cuban immigrants were, many of them were educated, many of them entered into the school district. And again, that's how Pablo Escobar's mother taught school in America in my elementary school. And in fact, I was in her class at one point after the conflict with Pablo. I didn't know about her, and after the conflict with Pablo, I was put into her. You got to understand, we had a sheriff who was very sadistic, very sadistic.
Hmm.
And so after the conflict with Pablo, I was put into Mrs. Escobar's class. So the molestation with Pablo, when that happened, all of the Hispanics were kicked out of town. Um, and what happened was is this sheriff, Sermon Dias Jr., a week later took me out to Montero where Pablo was, and I was molested a second time. Not by Pablo this time, because Pablo hid in the woods. I was molested by his father and Sermon Dias Jr.
How old were you at that time?
I was either in the fourth, I think I was in the fifth grade.
Okay.
I'm a fourth, I want to say I was 10 years old. I don't remember if it's fourth or the fifth grade.
Okay.
So that's how Sermon Jr., who was later convicted of protecting the cartel, first met Pablo Escobar. They became, at first, Sermon Jr. tried to get rid of Pablo when Pablo was starting to gain power through marijuana. In the beginning, Pablo only did marijuana and a couple of kilos of cocaine. When Pablo realized that Sermon Jr. wasn't going to mess with him, and Sermon Jr.'s like, you give us a little bit of cash here, you do whatever you want. We don't care.
So they were already involved in narco traffic. What about child trafficking? Do you know something? Organ trafficking,
Yeah.
other kind of business, or only
Um,
was because the
here,
Cubans are? I think that they are involved with all this child trafficking, narco trafficking, because they're infiltrating all the U.S. embassies in the
oh yeah.
Americas. Yeah. Do you
Well,
know
that's
something about it?
yeah. Well, that's with any our culture does it. Every culture does it. There's nothing special about Pablo's culture. The Cubans. Yeah, I was almost sold to Pablo when I was around the age of 15 by my father. The problem was, is I was like, Noriega was in our town. Okay, he lived in I worked as a waitress, and later I became a killer for the mafia and the Medellin cartel. Um, so when had conflict with the mafia underboss, I was fired and I was blacklisted. Nobody in town was going to hire me, so I started to work for Pablo and the cartel.
But what I know about Pablo is that he was a politician as well in Colombia.
Yeah,
He might be a Colombian citizen, I think. because of that?
No.
No, not really. Oh, okay.
I don't, he, no, he had, there was the Ochoas.
Yes.
Now, my understanding is that it's the Ochoas that had the true connections.
Okay.
Those are the ones who had the connections with Colombia. And I had conflict with the Ochoas too.
But he went to Colombia to. I think that
Oh
he was a
yeah,
senator, there.
I wouldn't doubt it. See, what happened was George Bush Jr. got wind of what was going on, and this was during the Adam Walsh murder. Okay,
Hmm.
it was mafia, and Pablo worked for mafia before it became and Rivy. Everybody worked for mafia. When the Adam Walsh contract came up, uh, Mafia, the Iceman, and Whitey Bulger said, no, we're not getting involved. We don't do women, we don't do children. And that's when it became a pivotal moment, and that's when Pablo became Medellin. That's the exact moment when it went from Mafia to Medellin.
Do you think that this mafia they already have MK Ultra? Do you know about the MK Ultra? Some
Yeah,
kind of control. Do you think that he has some kind of implants or nanotechnology? Because at that time, I think that nobody knows about that. Okay, but can you think that he might have some kind of control over him or not really?
That's a really good question. There was hypnosis. Now, they did hypnosis on us. If something really bad happened, and we couldn't handle what we saw, they would do hypnosis on us. They would do shock therapy on us. They would take us to the funeral home, lay us down on the slab. I had this done by Sermon Dice Jr., and they would apply shock therapy. They'd attach some metal lobes, and they would turn up the electricity to the point where you couldn't stand it anymore, to the point you were screaming. I know that happened to me. Did that happen to Pablo? I kind of doubt it, but did that happen to other people like the Delgados and Rivi? It's possible. I really don't know on that one. But MK Ultra, if you include hypnosis as a form of MK Ultra, then yes. But
The
nanochip, Palm Beach Junior College as a journalist, and which threw me in further conflict with the cartel and other. So Obama wanted to go to college too. He came, so we did his paperwork, we did his forged birth certificate, we did his forged Social Security card, all of that. And Obama kept coming to me, I need this done, I need that done, I need this done. And at the time, Yeah, we're in Pablo Escobar's Montura compound, which is, they have a horse stall full of acid. This is where they cut up and clean the bodies. And so Obama kept coming to Pablo's compound, and I was like, you're going to end up getting me killed. And at some point, I got really frustrated, and I told him, I said, you need to find somebody else to help you. I can't keep doing this for you. I've got, other things. I'm just trying to stay alive here, okay? Because I'm a journalist. The mafia. The Medellin cartel is starting to ask questions, or why are you studying journalism? And so I told him, you need to go find somebody else for answers. You need to go to the library, start at the library. So he started at the library and ended up in the school system where Ann Dunham worked. Ann Dunham is not his mother.
Who is supporting Obama? Because we know that he studied at the
Okay.
big universities in the states. So even he might not ending the university has graduated a student, but he was really studying there. I mean, it might be the CIA or it might be the Mexican cartels at that time, or when are the Mexican cartels involved? Because they replaced practically the Pablo, okay?
Well,
So
Rafael Caro Quintero was Mexican. I dated him for a while. He was thrown in a Mexican prison. His mafia boss, again, that one was Tony, ordered him really, just released. So I went down to Mexico and got Rafael out. So Rafael's Mexican. That I know that for a fact because I've been to his house in Mexico. I don't know where in Mexico, but I do know for a fact that Rafael Caro Quintero was Mexican. He died from a gunshot wound in about 1984. He's been dead for a very, very long
you
time.
have mentioned Bush has involved in all this business. What about the Mexican president? Do you know do you know a name of a Mexican president involved in
I
these
don't
activities?
I killed one man okay, so what happened was Pablo, there were a lot of cop killings. Okay,
Hmm.
we killed a bunch of cops during these years. One of them got blamed on Riviera of Cocaine Cowboys.
Hmm.
So I started getting a reputation as an assassin because you have to stop and the Hispanics, women had a place, and that place was with the children and in the home. But Pablo opened up his mind to the possibility of using women as assassins. So I get started to gain a reputation, and I apparently caught the attention of, I do not know if he was the Mexican president. Uh, Galan, the one that Popeye was accused of killing, is the one that I killed.
Okay. How they give you the orders to kill someone? I mean,
They
how do you receive the order? Someone is talking to you, they a
okay
telephone call,
with
or
with President Reagan, that order came from Anthony Toulis.
Mhm.
Um, Hoffa murder, Anthony Toulis. John F. Kennedy Jr., Blogovich.
Mhm.
Okay. Adam Walsh, I don't know because again, that's the pivotal moment. The Adam Walsh murder is again where mafia stopped, cartel, Medellin, Pablo Escobar started. I mean, he had already worked for mafia. It's not like he was new to the system. Um, so the Adam Walsh murder, I'm not 100% positive, but I think that it was an order by Roland. Well, John Walsh began investigating what was going on because the Hoffa murder, the JFK murder, the Reagan shooting was we were getting a lot of attention at this time, and again, Tony Toulis was mafia. Some people when they do cocaine they get psychotic. Tony began to get psychotic, bold. Our motto was go big or go home.
Okay, okay. This is an interesting situation right now. So in the case of Reagan, we know that he was shot just a little bit in the head, okay, but he was sent to a hospital. I think that that's the same case of the people that they want to assassinate, okay. if there is I mean, there is a relationship between hospitals and mental hospital. How is this relation? Do you know something about that?
All right, what's going on there
Because
is
in the case of Reagan, he might be implanted the MK Ultra there, okay? Because he has high armor and he changed a lot after the shooting. What we know.
yeah, he might be a body double. We might have killed Reagan at this time. They've got, they like to do body doubles, and as you know, Hillary's got her body double coming up.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah. So what? Okay, John Hinckley Jr. is also known as Mark Chapman, and he's Mark Chapman, John Hinckley Jr., and he has another name. All right. So Tony Tulis Mafia wanted he had an order from somebody to kill Reagan, and I think it might have been George Bush Jr. So he wanted a couple of shooters. He didn't want just one shooter. So that's when John Hinckley was brought to Tony had a bar. It was called the Backdoor Lounge. That's when John Hinckley Jr. was brought to the Backdoor Lounge, and he was seduced into doing this. And at some point, he started to back off. And when he backed off, that's when Tony brought in another female. So they wanted to make sure that John Hinckley Jr. was the primary shooter, so they wanted to make sure he didn't back off. So now he had two females. So it's a joke that John Hinckley Jr. is mentally there's something wrong with him. The only thing wrong with him is that he was a healthy male being seduced by two healthy females. Okay, it's a joke. Okay, it's a joke between the higher ups that there was something mentally wrong with John Hinckley Jr. It's just simply the joke is, we know you're a healthy male. We know you were pushed into this by two healthy females. Therefore, you are insane. Ha ha ha.
Okay. Do you know there's a relation with Ted Cruz at that time or not? Do you know something about him? Because, especially his
Um,
father.
yeah, well, see, here's the thing. That I've seen Ted Cruz's father. He looks to me more like Roberto Escobar than anybody else. Noriega was a Henry County Sheriff's deputy. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was Noriega, there was a Cruz family. Now, was Ted Cruz a member of the Cruz family? I don't know. I don't recall ever seeing Ted Cruz. Um, there was a Deputy Cruz. Okay, he was hot. He was one of Pablo's protectors. Okay, there were a lot. Pablo had a lot of protectors on the sheriff's department. Um, a lot of them were, a lot of them were Hispanic. Some of them were American, and a lot the Hispanics were very protective. Americans were give me money. The Hispanics were, that's my man. You don't touch him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was
Yeah. So
okay.
there was a total protection. Do you know it's some kind of rituals, some kind of satanic rituals were done by
Yeah.
them? What kind of them?
Roberto Escobar, I was married to, and we Pablo was bad, but Roberto was scary. He was very scary. Um, See, they had the acid cleaning baths that the sheriff's department knew about, but Roberto had secret mosh pits. And there was one night I was with Roberto, and Roberto took me to his secret, and just threw the bag on the ground. And my question at that point was, does anybody even, other than Roberto, does anybody even know that you have this secret mosh pit? And when I looked down into the mosh pit, there was a male. There was a young male with long blondish hair about shoulder length, and it was dark. I could see the body, but I couldn't quite make out who it might have been because they killed off a lot of the local townspeople. And I have brothers, and my biggest concern was, is my brother in this mosh pit? Is
Oh,
my
oh,
brother
oh,
going to end up in this mosh pit? So after Roberto took me to this mosh pit, that's when he wanted to get married. Now, keep in mind, these marriages aren't necessarily out of love. It's if I marry you, you can't testify against me in court. So I was married to a lot of them. I was married to Rivy. I was married to Roberto. I was married to Chi Chi. Chi Chi was either a Gonzalez or a Rodriguez. I was married to Chi Chi. Um, and like I said, I was married to Roberto for about 3 days, and there was a satanic ritual. There was a king and queen at Pablo Escobar's Montura compound, and I went along with it, because you're kind of going with the flow. It's like a river. This thing has taken on a movement, and it's not slowing down. So you either go with that river or you end up dead somewhere. So it's going with the river. And there were satanic rituals, and we had a coven. We had a witches coven with Griselda Blanco and a few other people.
do,
Myself included.
do you know
So
if Obama has been participating in some kind of ritual? Do you
no,
know?
because there was Harlem, which was a subdivision of Clewiston. He was more in Harlem than he was in Montura, and there was a part of his time when he was actually on the east coast of Florida with Griselda,
Okay,
working with Griselda. So Obama got introduced into the Miami area, Miami disco, and one of the bombings during 1985 was a Miami disco with Obama in it, with my brother in it. And I was ordered by Pablo to bomb this disco.
okay.
He was trying to kill Obama.
He was trying to kill Obama.
Yes, because
Why?
this was when Obama said he wanted to get out of the cartel, okay? Because they don't leave you a whole bunch of money, okay? Because you're wrapped in. You've got the threat of the sheriff's department who's going to put you in prison, or you're going to get killed, or certain people in the White House. Because I met Nancy Pelosi. I've met Hillary. I've met Bill Bush Jr. I've met Jeb. I've met Scalia. I've met a lot of them. So Pablo wanted out, and he saw that I had already, to what looked to him, had gotten out through college. So Obama was, I want to go that way too. Okay,
Okay,
and when Obama started heading towards college, Pablo says, okay, Obama, I need you to make a kill. Obama says, no, I'm going to college. Pablo says, Nancy, take a bomb, take it to Miami. Your brothers are down there. Obama's down there. My other brother Richard's down there. You place the bomb in the disco. Okay, Pablo, but I've got my brothers in there. Do I get them out first? No. So I took the bomb down to Miami, placed it in the disco, and then I told Obama and I told my brother, you got to get out of here. You got
yeah,
to get
sure,
out of here
sure.
now.
So you're
So,
protecting. Okay, we have an hour right now, and we're going to we're going to take a break.
yeah, about 3 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. So I think that we can break at this time. Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
3 minutes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, and we're going to continue in the next minute. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So we breaking here. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we starting again with Miss Owens. Okay, and basically you were talking about the situation with Obama, try to kill him. So you save his life. If there is another, I mean, in another time they want to kill him again or not?
Yeah, obviously when you disobey Pablo, it's never good. It's not good. So Obama, okay, there was a judge that came out of Chicago. So keep in mind that the mafia was Chicago and New York, and they had connections with the mafia underboss. So, like I said, I've met the Iceman, I've met Whitey Bulger, I've met Sam, I've met a whole bunch of them. So, the judge came and he says, I want one of you, either me or Obama, as a personal hitman. And it was like, at first I wanted to go because I thought, well, because, you're not getting anywhere with Pablo or the rest of them. So there might have been an opportunity here. And, but my mother came out, like, she was part of the witches coven too. And so she came out and she said, no, you're a female. If you go follow this to Chicago, the chances are you're going to end up on a street corner somewhere. Obama, has a better chance being a male. So Obama was picked at, and then he was taken to Chicago to go to college in Chicago. This judge was going to help him. So that's the time that I wrote the bio, the 4 paragraph bio, where he says I was born in Kenya. I had to go by his words. Again, I was a journalist, and to sit here and write a 4 paragraph bio was nothing to me. So that was one of the things I helped him with. So by his own words, he's Kenyan. He was born in Kenya. Okay, but our father is an American, so he's an American by definition. Is he a natural born American? That I don't know. By his own words, he says he's Kenyan. His grandmother was Kenyan. His mother was Kenyan. And so keep in mind, U.S. Sugar brought in people from all over the world to work the fields before the machinery. They had machetes to cut the sugar cane. Okay, that's where the cartels started using. That's why machete was a very popular weapon during this time, because it was used to cut the sugar cane. So this judge got Obama, and Obama went up to Chicago, started the college process, came back down, apparently had run out of money, came and foolishly came to Pablo's and looking for help from anybody in Pablo's compound. And Pablo got angry. He was getting frustrated with everybody going off to college. He's losing his crew, his American crew. There's 2 parts. There's the Rivy and Popeye and the Delgados, and then there's the American crew. He's losing his American crew to the colleges, so he ordered Obama and the family hung by a tree. And at this time, I was frustrated too, because I'm like, do you not understand that you're pushing? Okay, the bombing in Miami should have been more than a clue for you. You're pushing Pablo to a point where he's going to explode. And so it was at that point when he was hung from a tree. Pablo asked me, "Do I hang him too?" Yeah, I can't. You're putting me at risk. You should understand. If you don't understand what's going on, something's got to break, and I'm not going to die. I'm not going to sit out here on the field and die. Not after all these years. So they hung Obama by a tree. Popeye, he looks at me and he says, well, that's your brother, Nancy. Do you really want to do this, basically? And when I saw Pablo questioning me, that's when I said no. And then I went and climbed up at the tree, got up there, and Popeye handed me a knife. I told Popeye, I need to cut him down. Popeye handed me a knife, cut him down. He fell down. He hit a rock on the ground. He was taken to the hospital with a concussion. He came and gave an order to me to kill him because like I said, everybody was getting frustrated at this point, Pablo and Cervantes Jr. So I was ordered to kill him. And my plan was to do it with a pillow, but now that I'm not in Pablo's compound, I've got a little more control. I'm in the hospital, and I don't want to kill my brother. So I called up my mother, and I said, you need to come to the hospital, come from travel west to east, go really, really slow, because here's what's going to happen. Alan's going to be running and I'm going to be running. Don't, whatever you do, do not stop the car. So that's what she did. Alan got out of the window first. I followed behind. He made it to the car. My mother is still rolling. The car is still rolling. And I almost got to the car when I heard a sheriff behind me saying, I got him. I got him. Okay. And I turned around and I saw two people. I saw Sermon Dias Jr. and I saw the deputy that had shot him. And when I turned back around and looked at the car, I saw Alan slumped over it, and I looked inside to see if my mother was okay. My mother was okay, and so what happened is the ER, the people from the hospital came and got Alan. They took him to the emergency room, and they were laughing. They said, "This is the first time we've had somebody leave the hospital and not even leave the hospital grounds and turn around and have to come back into the ER."
Okay. Do you think, while we're talking about of course, the Mexican cartel, the Mexican presence, relationship with all these situations, but do you know a member of the dirty richest families in relation with all these kind of, situations? Because we know that there is a family, I don't know if you know Iturbide families, they used to live in San Antonio, well, in the part of Texas and Florida as well. This Iturbide family had relationship with Maximiliano, and both of them they were emperors of Mexico. Do you know? Do you think that there's some kind of this kind of relationships with the different richest families in the world? Some kind of a member, or you don't know?
Uh, can you spell the name of the family? Because
Iturbide, Iturb has Bide. Iturbide. It was the first emperor in Mexico after the Aztecs.
that does
No,
not
no,
sound
you
for,
don't know.
yeah,
Yeah,
no.
okay, that's interesting to know. Okay, have you read any book of Obama and he's telling us the truth? No.
I have heard on the internet, bits and pieces of it. Um, they say in the book that his father is a goat herder. What the truth is my father, who is his father, had a few. You keep in mind they like to turn things into jokes, into ha-has. My father had a few pet goats that he used for the milk. Okay, so he's, according to the White House, he's a goat herder. They like to have fun with these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Um, According what you have tell us in the media, you participated in the what is called the changes of nationalities of the birth certificate or of Obama. Can you tell us something about that? I mean, just to
Okay.
confirm it, and why you haven't been killed is my other question, because
Oh,
what we
they've
know is
tried.
that a lot of these guys involved in the birth certificate have been killed.
Okay, they before between 1980, 1979, and 1985, there were a lot of assassination attempts on my life. A lot of them are documented down in Clewiston. Um, Griselda was actually murdered in 1985. She's one of the ones that came after me. Now, Griselda, okay, I my uncle lived across the road from Sermon Dias Jr., who became the main protector of the cartel. And that's how I came in contact with the sheriff. At some point, I became a sheriff's dispatcher. When I became a sheriff's dispatcher, there were certain things going on, and I was being her one who helped me kill Sermon Dias Sr., the sheriff, was Griselda. She's the one that planned everything out. So she got rid of a really big problem for me. And I, you don't forget something like that.
No, no.
The problem is after the murder, after we killed the sheriff, Sherman Dice Jr. had apparently gotten word that this was going on. So when everybody had cleared out, with the exception of me, I was still there because my car was there. Dice Jr. came up and he covered up the murder. Okay. The thing was, is now I'm in a conflict here because I have to have loyalty to Griselda. And this is true loyalty. Okay. This is true love that I have for her. I still have it. Let's
Yes, you want to continue with the other question? Sorry about that.
So I ended up having to kill her in 85.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. So it has been really difficult. We know that you tried to contact the FBI, and they didn't care what you were telling them about the situation with the
No, the FBI,
with
the
Obama. Uh, what is happening with you at this time? I mean, because you are the only one who has been talking about this situation of the birth certificate. No, not even the Arizona the guy that is telling us that he's going to judges and all this situation, but this isn't that everything is covered up.
they're they're working behind the scenes. It's just that there's been so many years of cover up that you have a mountain of false information to climb.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, so basically they're covering up this situation. We know that Obama bought a big mansion or house in one of the Arab countries. I think that he voted to escape it is necessary. Do you think that Obama is going to be in a legal situation after his presidential term? Or?
uh that is such a heavy, heavy question. The reason is because they covered up Reagan's shooting. They lied about Reagan's shooting. They lied about Hoffa. And again, I was there. I mean, Hoffa murder. They've covered up the Walsh murder. They've covered up. Pablo Escobar was murdered in 1990. Okay. There's been cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up. Will they ever uncover it? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
do you think that Mr. Trump is going to be different, or do you know that he's part of this all this situation? They're talking about
Wow.
the child trafficking or the satanic rituals with the oracle's owners. Do you know something about that? I mean, or
The
he's a
only
part of
I
all this situation?
Obama. It's anything's possible. Like I said, it's not unique to any culture. It's not unique to the black culture. It's not
No, no,
unique to
no.
Hispanic. Do I have any personal knowledge of that? Not that I can recall.
Okay.
Not for Obama. And again, not for Pablo either. So, some memories. These were pretty heavy, horrific memories that are just now coming back. So there might be some coming back later, but at this time, no, I don't remember anything like that.
Uh, in the case of the Sinaloa cartels, do you know that there is an important drug dealer right now I think that in Chihuahua, in El Paso, and i- do you know if he has some kind of relationship with Obama? Because Obama was located in Chicago, and this guy controls we know the Chicago area.
Okay, in the early years, the Hispanics were kicked out of town. Some of them came back. The first ones to come back, I can't swear to it unless I see pictures of him as a younger individual. And I don't know if this is the same one you're talking about because I don't know who the leader of the cartel that.
The drug dealer that escaped of really secure prison in Mexico City. Do you know the situation that he built a
All right,
tunnel?
but what's his name?
This guy is El Chapo.
Uh, okay, if I recall, okay, if it's the same guy that I'm thinking about, he looks to me like the youngest child of the Gonzalez family.
Ah,
This
okay.
Gonzalez family, they ran a pharmacy, and they had ties to mafia before it became cartel. Okay, so one of the brothers was Speedy Gonzalez, Maria Gonzalez. The father, who was a pharmacist, was Jerry Garcia or Gonzalez, and they had a Jerry had a brother. Now all these the Gonzalez family is Cuban. They're all Cuban. And so there was a brother and there was a baby boy. I mean, if it's the same one, he would have been, like the last time I saw him, he would have been about 5 years old. But he's got the structure, the facial structures of Speedy Gonzalez and the rest of the Gonzalez family. So I don't know if that's the same one. I would have to see pictures of him when he was five, six,
He's
a
considered
kid.
the most important drug dealer, Mexican drug leader, El Chapo. He escaped from
Well,
a Mexican prison.
then he is, well, probably. If he's the same one I'm thinking about, he would have had his start with the Medellin cartel, and the Medellin cartel was sanctioned by George Bush Jr., if that
Okay,
makes any sense.
okay, okay. Okay, so it seems that what you are telling us is something that we didn't know. So they are sending these drug dealers to Colombia, to Mexico, but they're really coming from United States. Um, so they covered up all these situations in Mexico or in Colombia. It is the same situation in United States. I mean, do you know that it's the opposite way? I mean, that some guys are coming from Colombia and are coming from Mexico or Cuba to do these illegal businesses, or it's only United States to Mexico or Colombia?
Um,
Oh,
Initially, it was people working in the fields, but later on, there were a lot of Colombians that would come up. They were coming from Cuba, Colombia. I mean, it wasn't any one central or southern country. It was all, it was a bunch of them. I mean, there was
do you know
no.
someone from China? Do you know someone from India? Or only Spanish?
Okay, Delgado, the bikini killer. Oh yeah, okay. They say bikini killers from China. If is that that might be what you're referring to. He's a Delgado. He's a Cuban. Okay,
Ah,
the
okay.
bikini killer is a Cuban. He's
Yeah.
he's not Chinese. Okay, so I don't know if that's what you're referring
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to.
Sure.
No, as far as I know, no Chinese.
So not Chinese. It is Walmart related with all this situation. Walmart, the
Who?
owner of Walmart,
Walmart?
Walmart. Yeah, Walmart, the retail store.
I have no knowledge of
No, no
that.
knowledge about that.
I know a lot of people think. Told Gaddafi she's a witch. She's a very powerful witch. We don't kill her.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, and that is some of the child trafficking I did see. So Gaddafi had a bunch of kids chained to his dollhouse wall.
We know also that from Benghazi. Do you know the case of the Benghazi embassy with the Hillary Clinton? It seemed that they sent a lot of children in jails to the Bush for satanic rituals.
Well, here's the thing. They say Benghazi, but I think they're speaking in code. I think they might be
Ah,
talking about Pablo's Naples. I really haven't sorted that one out. I know Christopher Stevens was with Newt Gingrich during an assassination, a murder. Now, Rivy and I did that assassination. Stevens did not know that there was fixing to be an assassination. The only one who knew that there was going to be an assassination was Newt Gingrich, myself, and Rivy. Okay, that was in 1984. That was the time Mondale was murdered, according to Pablo. Mondale was a target.
mhm.
Mondale has not been in Japan. I very seriously doubt, I did not succeed at the, I usually succeeded in my assassinations, but Walter Mondale was one where I failed. I did not kill him.
Eh, So, so we know right now almost all the activities that you are telling us you have been participating in certain way. Do you know, for example, about money laundering, or is another part of the? It's totally another part of the of other kind of people, or it is the same members that are doing that.
E- Okay, our local bank was shut down because there was money laundering going through there. I had a safety deposit box in this one particular bank that was shut down, and I that money came after a murder in I think 1984. It was actually one of the cartel members that was murdered at this time, and the sheriff's I okay there yeah I had money. Okay, I didn't like doing cocaine. I thought it was ridiculous to do cocaine. I like to do speed. I like to do amphetamines. And so during this particular murder, I was supposed he wanted to pay me in kilos, but I told him no, I don't like kilos. I like money. Okay, I want money. I don't need cocaine because I have these pills here, and it cost me a total of $60, 30 to go see a doctor, an, another 30 to fill my prescription. Okay, I don't need your 80.
Do you want to clarify something? Do you want to add? We might be done other programs if you want in the future, but because you have a lot of things to do to say, but do you want to add something?
The only thing would be the Delgado family is they were a part of the cartel they were kind of thrown into it. The Delgados, Ida Delgado, she was not someone who raised her children to be this. Okay, she was someone that if you walked into a room as a female, she'd tell her boys, go get a shirt on. You don't sit here around females without shirts on. So the Delgados, Popeye included, were not raised to be what they eventually, I wasn't raised to become this. It's just, it was the sheriff's department, well, specifically Sermon Dice Senior, Sermon Dice Junior, and Pablo. And I'm not even sure how Rivy became involved in it, so, but other than that, no. So,
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Nancy Ruth Owens, for being in the program. I hope that we can see you in another one program. You told me that you want to give some kind of link or whatever about some kind of financial support. Okay. Okay.
yeah, I am working on bringing all of the true history, not what they've been telling you all these years, which is false, the true history of the Medellin cartel, Pablo Escobar, because it's an American story. He's not Colombian, he's American. So I am raising funds to buy software, cameras, the equipment that I would need to put together a documentary. So I have a GoFundMe account. It's under Nancy Ruth Owens, and it is to document Pablo Escobar's true history. Again, not what the Bushes tell you, not what the Clintons tell you, not what the White House tells you.
So how can I find the site? I mean,
It's GoFundMe.com/ Nancy Ruth Owens.
okay, great, great. I hope that everybody would like to help you because this is really important history that everybody is hiding right now, but the truth is going to come. And
Yeah, it probably will. I'm not. It's like you're talking about 30 or 40 years of
yeah,
cover-ups, if not longer than that. So,
yeah, that's true.
okay. All right,
Thank
Alberto.
you very much, Nancy, and God bless you.
You too. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.